Hi Laura, thanks for coming today. Laura Moxham from YBA PPC, founder and MD. Laura is like I don't know how to say this. You are
Watch what you say.
You are very animated with the SSA. I remember you doing that talk, and then we were at the suppliers conference, and then you had that picture. What were you dressed as at the skiing event?
I could possibly say. Oh, the ski event. I was talking about landing pages, and I rocked up with an aeroplane around me that's filled with air.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a mixed bag. Some people were like, what the hell is she doing?
I can't remember what it was. I think I said this morning, I'm sure she was dressed as a chicken at some point.
That was something else.
But no, that was it. It was that landing pages and you dressed as a plane. No, I think it's great. So very popular member in the SSA, work with a lot of self-storers. So really great to have you here today, and we'll get into all things PPC and self-storage.
But I think just to jump in there, I think the key thing about marketing is about, and we were talking about this morning, is about standing out and being memorable.
Definitely.
And that's the key thing with marketing, to be able to get your message across in a fun and engaging way.
Yeah.
So that was my tip about doing the aeroplane, that people go, oh, what were you doing with the aeroplane?
No, it's great.
Stand out.
Yeah, definitely. So do you want to tell us a bit about YBA PPC?
YBA PPC, bit of a mouthful, but it stands for Your Business Angels. And the whole purpose of the business is about helping businesses grow. And Google Ads is a bit of a nightmare because it's changing all the time. People are trying to run their business and focus on their business. And this is almost like a tool that's, an uncovered treasure chest to be able to help the business grow. But if you do it right, and I often talk about Bananarama, it's what you do with it that makes the difference. I was working in T-Mobile in a very big corporate organisation, and my dad's an amazing entrepreneur, and he had this aerial photography company where he went door to door with students, and it was incredibly successful. And so I've always been around that, and I thought, do I really want to work in this business where I'm there, there 1 minute, you could be gone the next, and actually they just replace you? So I wanted to feel like I could really make a difference. So I joined my brother. He had a little home computer repairs business, and I thought, right, I'm going to join him and try out this Google Ads literally on the back of a fag packet, because I wanted to get and keep customers, because I knew once he got a customer, he would do a really good job to keep them. To cut a long story short, the phone just didn't stop ringing, and we were getting all these customers through. So when I joined him, he had about 250 customers, and they've now got 4,000. And that's in large part due to the Google Ads. So it was evident that I had a little bit of a skill there. The network of businesses that I hang around with, they were saying, well, I've tried to get this Google Ads thing to work and I can't get it to work. What are you doing so special? And it was a bit of a light bulb moment that many businesses are doing Google Ads and coming away going, no, it doesn't work. It's a waste of money. When actually I know that the opposite is true. Also, we're really, really proud because we are a premier partner of Google, which sounds a bit cheesy, but we are in the top 3% of agencies for Google. And that is based on the level of ad spend that we manage for our clients and the results that we get for clients as well. We've had that for 7 years now, which is quite close to my heart. We work with a wide range of different clients of different shapes and sizes, but in particular, self-storage, helping them grow.
Yeah, it is crazy that Google will let anyone just start a Google Ads account. It's amazing that people actually have a go at it.
Burn up the notes. Burn up the notes.
I'll just put some random words in there, triggering all sorts of ads. You could just burn through so much money so quick if you don't set it up right.
So I was at the Movers and Storage show last week, and I was mentioning this because one of the things that we used to do like 10 years plus ago, you could have a Google Ads account and it would be pence rather than pounds for a click, but you could use it to find out if a marketing or a business idea was going to fly, because you could have some ads and say, oh, we're selling this such and such widget. And if you're getting lots of people to click on it, then potentially it's got some legs for a business opportunity.
Yeah.
So back in the day, it was a great tool to be able to think about starting a business.
Yeah.
But now you can burn through lots of cash.
No, over the years, everyone's bidded all them keywords up. And for anyone who's new to PPC, there are some crazy industries out there that instead of pence per click, I think the betting industry, last time I heard it was like £30 a click or
100 plus.
Yeah.
100 plus. Blackjack, 100 plus. Solicitors and lawyers is like £60 a click. There's so much that you can do to bring down the cost per click by improving the relevancy and all these boring things and exciting things.
Yeah.
There's lots of things that you can do, but at that level, it's a different ballgame. But it's all about return on investment, and it's a live bidding auction. So it's an auction that's based on people's intent and buying, and therefore the click cost is adjusted based on that interest.
Yeah. In self-storage, what's the average click for self-storage at the moment? I think it's about £1 to £2 from what I've seen. But
yeah, absolutely. I would say it's about £2.
It's something to think about if you are looking at it. You pay for your click, but they might not convert. So it's all about, we spoke landing pages before. You need to combine everything up, don't you? So you need to combine that really eye-catching ad, but then when they're clicking it, they're landing on a page which is hopefully going to lead to a conversion. Because you want them to leave the details, you want to leave an inquiry, you want an order, you want a new customer.
In its simplest form, it's getting the right person to type in the right keyword that they're looking for with buyer intent. Like a great keyword is self-storage, for example, plus near me or the town name, because the buyer intent is there. So you effectively want somebody with their credit card in their back pocket ready to find somebody that's great and can look after them. So the first thing is about ideally getting that great keyword that you're bidding on. So you're saying to Google, right, we want to be found for this particular keyword. That's stage number one. Stage number two is how can we get eyeballs to our ad and earn that click on our ad? So are you cheaper? Are you faster? Are you award winning? Are you next to Starbucks? Are you going to give a free bottle of champagne for every new customer?
Yeah.
What are you doing that's different to stand out in what can be quite a vanilla, list of ads?
Yeah.
So that's the second bit. And then the third bit absolutely is about taking them to a page that really the goal of that page is to get them to phone up, fill out the form for a quote, or to make a purchase online, or to use live chat.
Yeah.
So it's really those key points, and all of those have got moving parts.
Yeah,
so that's why we've got a business that helps people to turn the dial on all those different parts.
Yeah. So another thing you can do is obviously to optimize your website to make it rank higher on an organic listing. That's the listings below the ads. But if you can pump some money into PPC, you're going to show your ads at the top of Google, no matter how new your website is or no matter how new your business is. If you want customers now, PPC is the way to go because you're going to put your ads in front of people right now.
Yeah. Well, that's where my money would go.
Yeah.
Well, the main thing with Google Ads is it's measurable, scalable to a certain degree because there's only a number of people that are going to be looking for you locally, and controllable. So you can get to the top of Google. However, I would caveat that because Google is changing. Used to be able to whack up some keywords, whack up some ads with, a bit of luck rather than judgment, and it would work. All you see is the ads. You can't even scroll to the organic.
Yeah.
If you can invest in both, then fantastic. You want to be everywhere where your ideal customer is searching. So in the ads, in the maps, make sure that you're in the maps, and then organically too.
Definitely.
But organically takes a while to rank up.
Are you on the same page as me where there's not a lot of keywords for self-storage? It's like self-storage near me, self-storage, the local areas. How would you, in your opinion, structure them keywords? Would you do phrase, exact, broad?
So this is the 101 lesson in Google Ads match types. So not only do you select the keyword, so for example, self-storage near me, you then select the match type. So there's a broad match type. However, that's a little bit more targeted now, and it's a lot better. So there's broad match. You've then got phrase match, which is the little bunny ears around the keyword. So the keyword could be self-storage near me, and something would be typed in before or after it, and that can be shown. Or you've got exact match, which is the square brackets around the keyword, and that is more controlled, where it should be Ron Seal, although Google has has the ability to do what it would like. Now, what we found actually is the cost per click on broad match keywords is slightly less, and it's more controlled than it used to be. Also, it lends itself really well to the machine learning from Google's bidding strategies. So we're finding quite good success with the broader match types, which flies in the face of what I would have said 5 years ago. Yeah. I think that is the key thing. Test, measure, and make informed decisions based on what the data is telling you.
Yeah.
So what might work for one client may actually not work so well for a different client, because they've got a better landing page or this particular location is really, really competitive. It's about learning the data, having your nerdy, geeky glasses on, looking at the data and let it tell you a story to then be able to make the changes.
Yeah. As well to think about is you've put your keywords in great, but then you want to think about your negative keywords as well. So if you do start with phrase or broad match, you might bring in
cheap self-storage,
things that you don't want you don't want people clicking your ads because that's maybe a lower quality of traffic. So if you can go in the negative keywords and put anything you see that people have actually clicked on your ads for, put them words as a negative, and your ads then won't trigger.
Yeah.
And that's something that if they do it themselves might not even know is there.
You may have heard of the 80-20 rule. So 80% of your outcomes typically come from 20% of the inputs.
Mm-hmm.
So what you can do in a Google Ads perspective is look through the keywords of what people have clicked on your ad and say, okay, what percentage of these have actually converted into becoming a lead and which ones haven't? So the ones that we haven't, well, let's just bin those off. They're no good to anyone. You can then turn that off and focus on the ones that are working. So that's a surefire way to bring in, a good return. We do audits for people that are doing Google Ads, and we look at where's the success happening. Let's double down on the success and bin off the stuff that's not working. It's all about the data.
It really is. It really is. Do you know roughly how many self-storage customers you've got?
So we're around 50 now that we're working with. It was a really interesting foray to start into self-storage because I didn't wake up one morning going, oh, you know what? I'm going to do Google Ads for self-storage clients. I met with Hazel Edwards of the Container team down in Bristol, and she was struggling with her Google Ads saying, well, we're working with this agency. I'm not entirely sure if it's working or if it's not. I don't really know what I should be looking at properly. We had a chat and I understood where they were with their marketing and where they wanted to get to. So we looked at the Google Ads account and identified that there was some keywords that were not appropriate. We identified that some of the ads could be improved. And lastly, also, and this is a foundational thing, is some of the tracking wasn't set up right. So when you're looking at some of these things, actually, it's showing like a false reading. So some of the things that you want to track are somebody phoning you up as a potential lead that call you from clicking on the ad and onto the website, people filling out the form, and people on live chat. And so these three key things, you want to track them. And if they're not accurately tracked, then you can't make the right changes in your Google Ads account. So we made some of these changes, and then the revenue grew 75%. And not solely to do with Google Ads, but a large part of it was to do with Google Ads, and they've grown significantly. And she's pretty much retired from the business. And it's a really lovely success story. So as part of our work that we were doing with them, we were then introduced to the Self-Storage Association. We were able to then help other self-storage businesses knowing exactly what keywords, what ad copy, what landing pages, etc. works. Every business is different. So it isn't like it's not like a cookie cutter approach, because every business is a different stage and every offering or location or the competitors are local. So it needs to be bespoke to that business. With that volume of businesses that we work with comes a volume of data and a volume of learning and a volume of insight that's hugely valuable.
Definitely. What's your split between indoor and container self-storage? Do you know? Do you go into that level?
Off the top of my head, rough guess, I would say it's probably about 40% container and the remaining indoor.
Have you found it difficult to compete against the big yellows? And if I'm a container self-store, obviously on a smaller scale, how do they compete against them? Is it slightly different keywords? What have you found?
You have to think about why are you different? Fundamentally, why are you different as a business to Big Yellow? You're local, you are family run, you've been on this particular location for 10 years, whatever it is. You've got to deliberately differentiate yourself. You can't compete with Big Yellow because it's a completely different business model to yours. So lean in and dig into what you are, how you are different as a business. And I think that is really key to identify that. For example, in the ad copy, having that local address, having the local telephone number, and the award that you might have won in the local business commerce, for example. Big Yellow probably can't say that. Some people want to appeal to a local business rather than a bigger business. So I think you have to just think, why are we different? And let's stand for that and let's put that out there.
No, that's really good. If you had a self-store in front of you and you had a couple of lines to say why PPC is good for you, what would you say?
You got to be in it to win it.
Yep.
That's it, really. My mum, I keep referring to my mum because my mum is an ideal customer that from time to time may need storage. She'll get her phone out, she'll get her laptop out, and she'll do a Google search. So you've got to be at the top of Google for it to be an option for you. Now, that is not going to be the magic bullet for the business. Don't get me wrong. Google Ads is not going to save a business. It needs to be part of your marketing process. Now, what I mean by that is when you get an inquiry coming through, if you don't answer the phone quickly, that's a lot of money wasted on Google Ads. If you don't pick up the phone to outbound ring that person that's filled out the form and your competitor does quicker, well, that's all a bit of a waste. So you've got to look after these inquiries that come through. You've got to follow them up. So we track the phone calls for our clients. So we have a system that records the inbound phone calls. So our clients can look at that and go, okay, let's use that for phone handling training to improve the way that we are speaking to customers. Because if we improve that, you know what? We'll all benefit because we'll get more customers coming through. Yeah. We'll get more referrals because they'll then ring up their friend and say, oh my gosh, I rang up such and such storage and they were really helpful on the phone. You must use them.
Yeah. Especially phone calls are the customers are most engaged, I'd say, at that point. That they're ringing you up. They want what you've got. You need to smash it on the phone, don't you? So
100%. I completely agree. An inbound phone call is like gold dust. You've got to get on there. You've got to speak to them. You've got to be empathetic, look after them. Because if somebody fills out a form and then they don't get a response for a couple of days, and then the company tries to ring them, goes to answer phone, tries to ring them again, goes to answer phone, that's not great. We want to get people on the phone, but also those people on the phone need to be well-versed and well-trained and looked after by that business to help convert that customer. Because if you can have 5 phone calls, let's say you were converting 1 or 2, if you can make some changes to make that 3 or 4, you've still got the same amount of ad spend, but you're pretty much doubling the business by making those improvements.
Definitely. Exactly that. Have you seen a recent shift of people taking it more seriously lately, investing in it more? We've talked about on other podcasts how good flyer drops are and the local stuff, but are you seeing more of a shift to PPC?
Well, it's a little bit frustrating because you are governed very much by how many people are searching. So for our clients where we're getting the great results, they're saying, can we spend more? Can we spend more? And we're like, well, no, not profitably. There are sometimes a law of diminishing returns because you can increase the ad spend, but Google's AI breaks somewhat. So you need to do it in a very careful manner. So if you're in a local area, you are only going to be able to spend a certain amount of money. There's no point in spending much more because you're going to be creating wasteful clicks and then you come out saying Google Ads doesn't work.
Yeah. On location, how would you set a client's campaign up? Because you can do radius or postcodes. What do people normally typically want you to do, or what would you advise to do?
We would typically do a radius targeting. Postcodes work really well in the States. It's a lot more structured in the States with Google, but is a little bit more flaky in the UK. And also IP addresses move around. So we typically do the radius targeting, depending on the location and depending on where your nearest town is by comparison. You'd be sort of 5 to 10 miles radius of the location of your business. We had some business that came to us and they'd got literally self-storage across the UK. And I was like, we can really help you.
Yeah, that's, you'd be spending some serious money there.
Yeah, we are new best friend.
You mentioned before about an audit. So what is the process if I'm a new self-storer or a self-storer looking to get into PPC? What's the process like coming to you?
Yeah, so the typical scenario would be that a business is doing Google Ads already and they're a little bit frustrated with it because they can't quite see the visibility of the numbers. So we have an initial chat to understand, okay, where are you now? What are the numbers? How many inquiries are you getting at the moment? And where do you want to be getting to? It's a very much bespoke understanding about where they are. Then what we could do is we would go into their Google Ads account and have a look at, well, where's the wasted ad spend? And then we'll show them that and walk them through it in very layman's terms. So there's no techie jargon or anything like that. People are busy. They're doing the finance, they're doing the HR and recruitment, and they're helping somebody into their self-storage unit. Yeah. So we're there to help them and identify and show them. And a lot of the time, they're very thankful and very excited about what it can do.
Definitely, yeah. So you mentioned one of your first customer, Container Team.
Yeah.
Have you got any more? Have you got a recent customer you've onboarded and you've helped them grow conversions, revenue, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. So one recently where they were frustrated again with their Google Ads. They were actually doing it in-house. So this was part of the marketing lady that was in-house doing it. She really had seen some success in it, but didn't really know where the success was going and wanted to see what the opportunity was to improve things. So we looked at it. The conversion tracking wasn't set up accurately. So the visibility of what was working in the account wasn't clear. One of the key things there was about the keywords. they were using broader keywords in the account. So there's lots of clicks, but then when the clicks were coming through, they weren't necessarily the right kind of clicks to get the inquiries coming through. Also, the ad copy. There was quite a few competitors locally. So we really needed to work hard on improving the ad copy because it was a competitive field where there was 4 in the top, obviously. So we made changes to that to be able to improve that. And she came back from holiday and literally the units were then full and they were able to increase their prices too. So it was a proper win-win and really, really happy, delighted with the results. And actually, that was quite a quick turnaround. That happened within a few weeks, which I never, ever promise because it's a live bidding auction. It's competitive. It's marketing. We can't make promises as to what the outcomes can be. What we can do is put our best foot forward, knowing what can work and then looking at the data and making changes. Another really good example is the impact of making changes to the landing page. So having spent a certain amount of money on clicks coming through, we want to make sure that the people that are coming to the website are more engaged and more likely to phone you up to inquire with you. By making changes to the landing page, having a really clear call to action, 3 key reasons why this business is cheaper, faster, better, award-winning, etc. So that when my mum looks at it, she's like, oh my God, I've got to call these people. I can't go any further. So that's the changes that we made to the landing page. So the conversion rate literally doubled. The ad spend was the same. So it really, really improved the results for the business.
Oh, that's really good. You mentioned about being full. Do you ever have any customers who come to you and say, oh, I'm full, turn off the ads? Or would you recommend keep them going? Because you're always going to have a bit of turnover, aren't you?
Yeah, so you're always going to have that churn. It's a churning industry. So you're going to have people leaving. And so you need to kind of be there to backfill. Now, the concern with pausing and stopping your Google ads is Google then goes, what's going on? It then sort of starts to break. And then when you want to come back up, you're paying much more for the cost per click. It's having that constant trickle feed through of inquiries each month. You don't want to be having no inquiries coming through. So what you can do is you can turn down the ad spend slightly, but I certainly wouldn't turn it off. But you're going to be having people that are moving out. So you know, for your business growth and consistency, you need to be filling those spots too.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously there's search, which is when someone types in. Do you do much with display or Performance Max with customers now? Have you had much success there?
Yeah, we do. We do Performance Max. Again, it needs to be tested because the quality of leads actually can change slightly. Also, it's about having video content. So, for example, YouTube ads, they could be great for remarketing, but we need to get some good content with video. It's
cheap as well, YouTube. Much cheaper than clicks and search and PMax. So.
Yeah, and the thing with YouTube is that it's great for remarketing. So basically anyone that goes to the website, you can then try and re-engage with those people as they mooch around the internet. So you can chase them around with little static banner images. You can chase them around when they go to YouTube. So you've already invested in that click. Let's try and get them back again because they may also be talking to other companies.
Yeah.
So it's just following that journey.
Yeah.
However, we need to have good content for those to work really well.
Yeah. What are some red flags you've seen in people's accounts when doing an audit?
First of all, conversion tracking. So that's one of the key things is conversion tracking, because it's like going to a rugby match. You know, if you see all these guys running around in the field and you don't know the score, you don't really know who's winning or losing. So Google Ads is fairly similar to that in that you need to see what keyword have they typed in, what ad have they seen, was it from a mobile or desktop, what time of day was it? You need to have this data so that you can make accurate changes in your Google Ads account to get more of what's working and less of what isn't. Really fundamental. It's a non-negotiable. Let's say somebody phones and they then come back and phone again. So that conversion would be shown as 2. Sometimes people will say, oh yeah, we're getting a cost per lead of X. Actually, no, you're not. It's double that. So getting conversion tracking set up accurately is a really key thing. So that's the first thing. Second thing is page speed. Put your website through the Google Speed Checker and just see what issues it has and what the page speed is. Because if it's slower, what will happen is you're going to get slapped on the wrist from Google, because Google wants to provide its customers what they're looking for and in a timely fashion. So if your website's slow, then that's going to upset Google. So you're going to be paying more per click. A very fundamental part of Google Ads is about your conversion rate. So we want to take people to a page that is going to engage with them and get them to take that action point, which is either phoning up or filling out a form. So make sure the telephone number is really prominent. Make sure the call to action, the free quote is really prominent. Make sure that it's all in the top part of the site or the top fold as you're looking on your mobile. Then if it's really clear, you're more likely to get more phone calls, more people filling out a form. So those are the key things that can make a big difference to coming out and saying Google Ads actually works really well.
Yeah. Do many of your clients have websites where they can book online? Just pick what unit they want and book online. Do you see many of that or not?
Yeah, we see a real mix. And some of the clients that have, that's the holy grail, isn't it? Right? If we're owning a self-storage business, we want people to just go onto the website and book themselves and not have to have human interaction. The reality is something very different. For my mum, for example, she's searching on Google. She wants to speak to somebody. I don't know how much space I need. Can you help me? What do I do about locking up? How secure is it, etc. So they've got questions in their mind. A younger audience may well go onto the website and book off the bat without having that conversation. So there is a proportion of people clearly that will go on and purchase, but a vast proportion, much bigger proportion, want to speak to somebody and have those questions answered. I would say focus on trying to get the phone call, because that as a sales inquiry is so much stronger to be able to convert. You can speak to them on the phone, you can help them, you can guide them.
Yeah. So I'm a self-storer looking to get into Google Ads. What sort of budget would you be advising me to start with?
It very much depends on location. So in a town, a little village, there may be a population of 20,000, for example. And so a proportion of those would be searching for self-storage. Now, if you compare that to, say, Liverpool, then the population is far, far larger. I don't know what the population is. Therefore, there's going to be more opportunity to spend more on ad spend. So it's governed to a large degree on what the population is. So if you're in a small village, then it would be, small hundreds of pounds, £200-300 you might be able to spend.
Whereas a week or a month?
A month. Then going into a city, it could be 2,000-3,000. However, it also depends on what competitors are around, because the competition naturally will increase that cost per click slightly because it's a more competitive landscape, but it's on a case-by-case basis based on the location and the competitive nature in that area.
Yep. So you're stood in front of 100 self-storers. None of them do PPC. Why would you say PPC is something they want to invest in?
Because that's where your customers are going to be. That's the key thing. 80% of new customers come from searching on Google. So it's too much to ignore, really. If you're searching or you're thinking about self-storage, where are you going to go? You're going to get your phone out and you're going to look on Google. So 80% of inquiries come through from the internet. It's like 170,000 people are searching for self-storage across the UK, not necessarily in your little village where your self-storage business is, but across the UK. They're out there looking. And if you're not advertising, where can they go? They can only go to your competitors.
Yeah, totally makes sense. But there's some really good stuff in there. Like I say, if you are a self-storer listening, you want to attract more customers, do a better job, Laura is the person to speak to.
Well, my team. My team, not me.
No, that's really good. Thanks for coming. It's been really great having you. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Chatterbox was brought to you by Cleveland Containers, the UK's leading supplier of new and used shipping containers and the largest supplier to the container self-storage market. If you're looking to enter the self-storage industry or streamline and expand your current site, talk to us about Box Plus, our one-stop service that can provide you with everything you need to set up and run a simple, remotely operated and profitable self-storage business. For more information, head to clevelandcontainers.co.uk and follow us on social media for more content on all things shipping containers and self-storage.